Hey everybody, so here we go. The beginning of a journey, the first part of the story, the dreams, resilience, and faith. Every story has its first chapter. And for me, I guess it starts here. Oh wow, this picture is from back in time. Time really does fly when you look back. It takes me straight to my early 20s, full of dreams, but with no idea of the challenges and blessings ahead. Looking back now, I see the resilience and faith that carried me through. And I thought I'm going to share a little bit of the background so you see where I come from. Um, Back then, I guess I was just like everyone else in a way, full of dreams, but no really knowing how they would come about. I was young, clueless, raw. My plan was simply no plan at all. When I turned 20, my brother and I packed our bags and left our homeland and came here to UK. Why? Well, one of my dreams was to study abroad, and another was to reach my goals on my own rather than rely on my parents' financial support. The dream was to study, and that dream didn't begin to manifest for another 3 years. Instead, I worked a skilled job in cold, wet conditions, early mornings, late nights, shift work. That was my new reality. But you know what? I was happy. Happy that I made my own money, paid my bills, bought food, bought clothes, went out, had fun, and learned how to sustain myself and really rely on myself. After all, I was only 20. And after 3 years, I came to a crossroads. Either keep on working or go to college and study something. The dilemma was that college meant going back to the same level of qualifications I already had. To be honest, that stressed me out quite a lot. It was difficult to me to wrap my head around why I couldn't just carry on with my education like further down, but instead had to almost go back in time. Another stress was that I was few years over 20 now, whilst almost every student in college was 16. I felt like I didn't belong there, like something was wrong with me. I was so embarrassed. My English was another struggle. I was so scared to speak and make mistakes that every time I opened my mouth, I thought people would laugh. After a few years, my spoken English improved somewhat, but my writing did not at all. That terrified me. How was I going to write all those assignments if I didn't even know any grammar? I had a lot of thinking to do, but one thing I knew for sure, I had to make a decision, either to try to build something out of my life or else always be chasing my own tail in some unskilled, low paid job. So I decided to study. I swallowed my pride and started business studies. Was it easy? Definitely not. I was so embarrassed because I was older and because my English wasn't good. My tutor used to return my papers glowing in red from mistakes, of course. I seriously wanted to cry, but I knew I was improving. I've always had this crazy resilience and drive in me that no matter what, I will achieve what I desire sooner or later. That drive never ever let me give up. And I graduated at the top, not only of my class, but the whole college. Life got easier, a much better job, more money, but the dream still wasn't fulfilled. My heart was unsettled. I had promised my mom and myself that I would get a degree. I wanted to study international relations because really I wanted to help women in foreign countries or became an agent. I couldn't afford not to work, and a part-time job wouldn't just do it. I didn't have my parents here, of course, to support me financially either. So I had to find a way to pay the bills and still study. That kind of degree wasn't available part time at that time. A few years went by. I kept searching, hopeful that I would fulfill my promise. After all, that's why I had come here. So, finally I managed to find what I was looking for. 6 years to complete this degree. 6 years, they told me, while working a full time job. But I was willing to sacrifice all of my holidays just to go take and pass my exams. I was willing to do whatever it took to reach my goal and fulfill my promise. Wow. Little did I know back then how much this experience would give me strength, determination, growth, a sense of achievement and accomplishment. How much it would prepare me for the next stage in my life. I decided that 6 years to study was way, way too long. So I took more modules, equivalent to full time study, and worked on them in my spare time after a full time job. It wasn't easy. It was especially challenging around festive times or summer when everybody was celebrating, having barbecues, or going out on the weekends. And me, I was never available for fun anymore. I always had to study. I was busy reading, writing, or working on projects because I had deadlines to meet. Looking back, it feels like complete craziness, but also pure determination and devotion to a dream. That was the spirit of wholeheartedly reaching my goal. In the third year of my studies, I found myself at the crossroad again. A desire was born to move to Libya and work with NGOs to help women there because of the political figure at the time and the suffering that women were facing. It grossed me out so much that I wanted to do something about it. Deep down, I always knew I wanted to change the world for the better. And I thought here was the perfect opportunity to utilize my degree and do something meaningful. But the more I thought about it, the scarier it got. I asked myself, what if I want to have children soon? It's not going to be safe there. And what about money? I probably won't make as much as I want. All these questions swirled around my head. In the end, I decided to stay in UK and drop the idea of going to hotspots. Little did I know how much that decision would impact my life further. A few months later, I met my future husband and my children's father, and most importantly, my soulmate. I had to kiss many frogs before I found the one, but that's a story for another time, perhaps. I managed to finish my honors degree in 4 years, all whilst working full time, studying full time, and organizing my wedding with guests, pretty much a lot of guests coming from abroad. That year was even crazier than all the other years combined. I was so busy, excited, and determined that I didn't have time to think of anything else but achieving my dreams and goals. Just to later find out that I was overqualified for the jobs I applied or didn't have enough experience. Honestly, that was a crazy thing to me to hear and a strange experience to have. I didn't really understand those answers at the time. Nevertheless, I landed a decent and well paid job. But me being me, I wanted to grow, a better position, more money. The company had a different plan though. They wanted me to do the extra work, but when I asked about the salary increase, the answer was no money in the budget. My line in the sand moment came when I found out that I was pregnant. I always wanted to see my child grow and be there for all those precious milestones. That was one of my dreams. Before the maternity leave, I had to train someone else to replace me, of course. But my heart broke when I found out they paid that person way more than I ever got. Then I found out I was expecting twins. Wow, that was a huge surprise and a massive blessing. I started thinking of business ideas and opportunities that could allow me, to make money while staying at home and raising my babies. I had one business idea in mind, something exciting that I wanted to do, but it required a lot of investment at a high level. Because of that idea, I created my first social media accounts. Everyone laughed at me, saying I was a weirdo. How could I not have a social media account in the 21st century? But that didn't bother me at all. The twins were born, and my dream to raise them came true. We raised money quickly and we bought our first home. I remember I was sitting outside thinking, again, what could I do to stay home, not worry about money, not go back to work, and most importantly, not miss the most precious time with them? I was scrolling social media, as you do, and suddenly I landed on the post with the most incredible music. I watched the video, saw people commenting, and realized I was on some sort of opportunity or something. And out of curiosity, I registered, not thinking much about it, but curious to explore. At the time, I had only been on social media for 3 or 4 months, and I was clueless. This led me to discovering a business opportunity with an incredible learning platform, international community, amazing products, and hardest to believe, a too good to be true compensation plan. Everything seemed like a dream. Could this be real? Could this be true? My wish could come true again, staying home with my twins, creating work around them, and making decent money. But there was one problem. I was scared. I mean, I was petrified actually. Access to the community was paid. It was one off payment, but still a hard decision for me. At the time, my husband was the only breadwinner, and nearly £100, a big amount. That was a big amount. That would mean formula milk, nappies, and other essentials. We had to count pretty much every penny at this, and that scared me even more. What if it was a scam? What if that I would waste our little money that we had on some useless? I had it in a conflict. Follow my heart or my mind. I was confused. When I spoke to my husband, he asked me simply, "Do you want to do it in your heart? Do you want to try?" My answer was yes. "Then go for it," he said. "Don't worry, we'll be fine." And so I did. I joined the platform and I immersed myself in the new world of entrepreneurship. I learned about the company, the products, and business. Soon I discovered there was a significant investment required if I wanted to take it seriously and make money. This time I needed several thousand. I thought, that's it. My journey was over before it even began. If I didn't have the product, I couldn't make a real money, but I knew the product was incredible. That was the best water machine on the planet. It's like the Rolls Royce of its own industry. I mean, I saw the benefits, the quality, the health, impact, the global change it was creating, and I understood it all. The problem was money and my doubt. I doubted myself so much. Could I make it? Did I deserve it? I thought success was only for the special few, you know. Who was I to make it or succeed? My head told me not to do it. But my heart said this was something huge. My way out, my escape route. I was so very confused. I kept asking my husband, but what if I fail? And he just asked me back, but what if you succeed? What if everything comes true? Don't you want to know and don't you want to see where it takes you? You know, that question right there changed everything. What if you succeed? It taught me to shift perspective and look with an open mind. He was right. Why was I being so negative? What if I succeed? And what if I robbed myself of the chance by not even trying? Then I'd fail before I even began, and I regret for the rest of my life for sure. My husband was the voice of my heart when my fear crept in. I am forever grateful to him. So decision was made. I would give myself the chance, and guess what? Suddenly, money wasn't a problem anymore. We found it. Doubt disappeared, and my mind became strong and resilient. It was like turning on the switch. All I could see was the goal. I threw myself into learning. Every mastermind, every step, every book recommended. I felt like I had found my tribe. I was no longer the crazy one who wanted more, but surrounded by people who dream of freedom too. It wasn't easy with the newborn twins and new home, but the business fit around me, around my life. I was happy. I could look after my twins and still work. Slowly, it became part of me, part of who we were. I worked hard, but one thing stopped me: ads. I was terrified of writing or putting myself out there. My mentor asked me about my ad, and I was so embarrassed to confess I hadn't had done one. It felt wrong asking for help. It's my business at the end of the day. So, should figure it out all by myself, I thought. Embarrassed, I admitted I needed help. He worked with me then and we launched it. It didn't take off, but it broke my stagnation. From there, I grew and my team grew. Money came in more than my full salary. Within weeks, I knew I never go back to work again. I had replaced my salary and I realized the sky was no longer the limit. I felt incredibly lucky and grateful for all of this. I was on the roll, teaching, sharing everything I do and how I do it. I was even invited to speak to over 7,000 people during lockdown. They called me the Baltic superstar. Strange, but exciting. I mean, for 3 years, I had taste of the world I had been dreaming of. I learned so many new skills: business, marketing, sales, mindset, building websites and funnels, like running social media professionally, communication. But most importantly, I learned so much about myself. The better my mindset got, the more money I made. I knew I had found the golden key to freedom. I thought this was how I was going to leave my stamp on the world. I'm going to help people escape from this crazy wheel that we all are on, spinning on, and find freedom once and for all. I was going to help people to become masters of their own destiny. At the time, I was so close to reaching one of the first core leadership ranks in the company that I decided to go with it and put all of my hours, effort, energy into it and finally solidify it. That July was crazy. We worked like something else, like nothing else existed. But we did it. And at the end of July, now some years back, the goal was reached. I was so happy and excited. I felt such a sense of accomplishment and achievement. I decided to take some time for myself, not knowing that what came next would completely change everything. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time for the part two. I promise you one thing, it's gonna be incredible, and you not gonna believe what happened next.